Hello, I'm Stuart Bradley, and this is my long overdue response to the video Top 7 9/11 Conspiracy Theories Debunked in Under 1 Minute. This video is just one out of over 50 9/11 debunking videos posted by 23-year-old RKOWENS4, who states that exactly 0% of the theories forwarded by the 9/11 Truth Movement are true, and that each theory relies entirely on its believers not checking its facts, because even with the smallest amount of research, the theories quickly fall apart. Well, I did the smallest amount of research on this video, and I have some questions. First off, when you say that these are the top 9/11 conspiracy theories, according to who? I've heard many other claims that were a lot more credible, and some of these I've never even heard of before. Starting with theory number 7, in my years as a researcher, I've never heard anyone make the claim that no wreckage was found of Flight 93. Now, I've heard plenty of speculation on whether or not Flight 93 was shot down, and if that would explain the unusually large debris field. But to claim that most 9/11 researchers don't believe that any wreckage of 93 was found is a strawman argument at best that completely misrepresents the claims of legitimate researchers. And of course, it's very easy to knock down a claim that no one is really making. In Theory 6, although you point out that the main fuselage of a Boeing 757 could fit through an 18-foot wide hole, you completely ignore the damage that the wings, the engines, and the vertical stabilizers would have done to the building. Theory 5. There has been a lot of controversy over Larry Silverstein's pull-it statement. FEMA and Popular Mechanics both agree that there was no firefighting efforts going on within World Trade Center 7, and at 11:30 that morning, Fire Chief Frank Fellini ordered the firefighters away from the scene.
If you're on that building, I think coming down. The building is about to blow up. Move it back.
I'm not above the idea that maybe Silverstein had misspoken, but when most people listen to the statement and the context of the statement, they believe he's talking about the building.
Maybe the smartest thing to do is pull it. And they made that decision to pull, and then we watched the building collapse.
Now, in Theory 4, I'll actually agree with you that Marvin Bush's role at Securicom has been greatly exaggerated. But this doesn't change the fact that Securicom has been financially connected to the Bush family ever since the Gulf War, through the investment firm Kuwaiti American Corporation. But I will grant you that maybe it is just a coincidence that the security company that was in charge of the World Trade Center, Dulles Airport, and United Airlines just happened to be connected financially to the Bush family. Your number 3 top theory is another one that I've never heard of before. Whether or not the tendency was at 75% or at 98%, it is known that the World Trade Center was never economically solvent and had to be subsidized since the time it was built by the New York Port Authority. But the real expense of the buildings would be the renovations to remove all the asbestos, which prevented the buildings from being demolished legally. In this regard, the 9/11 attack was an amazing stroke of luck for Larry Silverstein, who leased the buildings shortly before the attack, knowing full well the financial trouble. Theory number 2 is a misrepresentation of a claim that I believe was first made by Bill Manning, who was editor of Fire Engineering magazine, who claimed that no steel-frame skyscraper had fallen from fire alone. But of the examples that you cite, the Cater Toy Factory was a cheaply constructed 4-story workshop, I-580 was a highway overpass, and although the outer walls of the Windsor building did collapse, the core structure remained intact, and was not a complete global collapse as we saw at the World Trade Center. There are a couple of misconceptions about Theory 1 I'd like to address separately, first being the idea that the fires in the towers were burning at 1800 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, I've heard lots of officials trying to portray the towers as a raging inferno with temperatures reaching up to 2400 degrees Fahrenheit, but I would like to know where they're getting their information from, considering that page 88 of NIST's final report says that its analysis of recovered steel found no evidence that any samples had reached temperatures above 1112 degrees Fahrenheit. Even the lead investigator for the NIST study, Shyam Sunder, agrees that most of the jet fuel fires would have burned out in less than 10 minutes. The fires could have reached temperatures of 1800 degrees in a phenomenon known as flashover, which occurs when uncombusted gases accumulate near the ceiling, then suddenly ignite and burn very hot for a few seconds. So they try to confuse the maximum temperature the fires could have burned at with the minimum temperature that would have weakened the steel. So while the jet fuel fires were not hot enough themselves to melt the steel, something in the towers was hot enough to melt steel. During its initial investigation, FEMA hired Worcester Polytechnic Institute to do a forensic study of metal from the World Trade Center and Building 7. They found that the steel had indeed been melted, quote, like Swiss cheese, by a combination of oxidation, sulfidation, and high temperatures well beyond possible by a diffuse fire. But since these findings contradicted the official story, FEMA buried the study in Appendix C of its report and was completely ignored by NIST and the 9/11 Commission. So in conclusion, I would say that while 9/11 truth researchers are often accused of stretching facts and twisting evidence, this video hasn't done a whole lot better. I'm sure Mr. Owens has the best of intentions in his vendetta against 9/11 research, and I would agree with him that there are way too many wild, unsubstantiated rumors about the attack. I believe that the best solution would be a new and legitimate investigation to study these anomalies. Thank you very much for watching, and much respect to Mr. Owens for his effort.